more vigilant than a legion and more relentless than any danger that presumes to reach you. They aren't acting for accolades. They are acting because your existence is the linchpin of a far grander design. They have been tasked with ensuring no one interferes with that. Here is the reality most individuals cannot accept. Your quietness is not a shortcoming. It is supported by an entity prepared to shatter opposition from the shadows. Remember to acknowledge this communication by simply liking and subscribing. Leave a comment if you have ever sensed the protection of a power you could not define but understood was absolute. You belong to an influence, quiet yet undeniable, that maintains the world's equilibrium. Collectively, we are more powerful, and this objective is nowhere near complete. They assumed you were an easy mark because you remained humble, because you did not engage in every conflict publicly. They mistook your kindness for an absence of strength, believing your calm demeanor meant you stood alone. But aligned behind you is an essence not visible to all, and that is precisely the strategy. For if your adversaries could perceive it, they would not dare to attempt this. This guardian does not operate on mortal reasoning. This is not a being who requires persuasion. They were appointed before your first breath. They were mobilized the instant your destiny was affirmed in the celestial realms. And from that moment, they have been observing, analyzing, waiting, and preparing to engage if necessary. They are aware of every falsehood spoken against your name. They have monitored every attempt to alter your destined path. And when circumstances became too dangerous, when it seemed you were overwhelmed, this guardian moved with such speed that the very air around your foes transformed. That nauseating dread in their stomach, that was your protection issuing its initial caution. This is not irrational fear. It is exactitude, and it is integrated into the very framework of your journey. You are not traveling by yourself. You are not enduring by chance. You are being shielded. They do not rest, they do not take leave, and they do not permit disruption. Reflect. How many instances were there when disaster was imminent? A relationship poised to destroy you abruptly concluded. A companion showed their true nature just as needed. A professional door closed only for a superior one to appear. That was not chance. That was orchestrated intervention. Your guardian does not delay until a crisis occurs. They act at the faintest hint of peril, halting negative energy before it materializes into action. They instill a profound dread into individuals before their treachery can ever reach your awareness. And the most potent aspect is that most of your opponents still cannot comprehend what defeated them. All they understand is that their schemes disintegrated, their tranquility vanished, and your influence continues to ascend. They are bewildered, they are unsettled, but you are safeguarded. You possess a power behind you that requires no publicity to be potent. Their silence is tactical. Their commitment is everlasting. And their hands are prepared not to defend your pride, but to defend your reason for being. Before you ever shed your first tear, before your identity was ever spoken by human lips, before disloyalty could wound your soul, a vow was sworn to protect you with absolute ferocity. This was not a pledge made in the physical. It was a soul contract, a spiritual oath forged in dimensions where time is meaningless and truth incinerates deception like a blaze. Before you were formed, before your heart synchronized with the pulse of this world, the cosmos designated your life as a holy blueprint, inviolable, rare, and crucial. And with that design came an inherent defender, chosen one. You were not merely given a task. You were allotted a guardian, not an assistant, not an admirer, but a force, a tempest with an identity. No foe will ever act without facing repercussions. This guardian was created with your purpose etched onto their very spirit. They did not select this duty. It was selected for them. Their spiritual essence holds your coordinates. Their fervor is sustained by your calling and subtle energetic changes. Their presence is sensed in the moments you cannot rationalize, when your intuition screams to avoid a place, when a door firmly closes that you were certain you desired, when someone abruptly departs your life without explanation, and a profound calm follows. That is your guardian operating beyond limits. Most people assume loyalty is won, But in your situation, it was preordained. This guardian is unconcerned with popularity. They're not anxious about public perception. They do not monitor your social feed to gauge your success. They monitor your spirit. And if something feels discordant, they commence their work. They have stood by you while you were unaware of your own strength. They have witnessed you grieve for people they knew were never destined to remain. And still, they stayed silent, steadfast, devoted to the mission, because to them, failure is inconceivable. They have waged wars in realms you cannot imagine, conflicts that would have shattered your mind had you known what was approaching. And yet, here you remain, still progressing, still chosen, still shielded by a power that never sleeps and never ceases. Do not misinterpret this. This is not sentimental. It is strategic. This is not about emotions. It is about utility. Your light is a danger to obscurity, and obscurity has repeatedly attempted to eliminate you before your full emergence. But your guardian absorbed the blows, intercepted the projectiles, disarmed the snares, shattered the hexes, and erased your adversaries before their strategies could even approach your doorstep. That is not mere loyalty. That is cosmic legislation. They were commanded. Guard this one, regardless of cost, and they consented without hesitation. And every time someone betrays you, they do not merely face outcomes. They confront a force that has been anticipating that exact moment. You may believe you are vulnerable because you feel solitary, but allow me to remind you, even when you are isolated, you are insulated. Even when others vanish, someone remains. And even when you sleep, someone stays awake, hands coiled in readiness, spirit resonating with sacred fury, because protecting you is not a response. It is a divine appointment. And if anyone touches what is consecrated, they are not merely crossing a boundary. They are activating a promise, one that cannot be rescinded. There are two types of protection, reactionary and preemptive. Yours does not wait for an assault to defend you. It declares itself before the foe even contemplates action. Chosen one, your guardian does not merely react to trouble. They emit a frequency that informs the world. Do not even attempt it. You do not hear it, but the spiritual realm does. Every envious glance, every counterfeit friend, every wandering opportunist who believed they could infiltrate your space undetected, feels it. That pressure, that disquiet, that intangible hand resting on their shoulder, squeezing firmly enough to state, retreat now or be shattered. This is divine perimeter control, a boundary so spiritually charged it repels anything not in harmony. Before the falsehood leaves their mouth, before the enchantment is cast, before the betrayal is even conceived in their mind, something already murmurs within their spirit. Do not interfere with this one. And the foolish ones who disregard that caution, they learn through harsh experience. This is why individuals look at you and grow anxious before you even speak. It is not your loudness. Every time your radiance is assailed, their intuition ignites like lightning through the unseen. They are not your security detail. They are your spiritual enforcer, and they do not await your summons. They are already there, perpetually vigilant, perpetually scanning the environment for concealed threats. It is not your stance. It is the presence of something behind you, gazing back at them through your quiet demeanor. They assumed your calm was susceptibility. They had no concept. It was your guardian positioned there, silent but armed, a storm held in check, a reckoning awaiting its moment. You have entered spaces where the very climate changed upon your arrival, not because of arrogance, but because of what accompanies you. Let them believe they are cunning. Let them analyze your patterns, track your updates, attempt to decipher your vulnerabilities. Your guardian identified them 3 steps prior and marked their spirit for assessment. And once that mark is placed, every insincere compliment they offer tastes like cinders in their own mouth. Every attempt to undermine you reverses course before it begins. Every time they try to subtly disrespect you, the repercussions arrive with greater force than their intent. That is what occurs when protection becomes proactive. That is what occurs when your guardian does not merely protect you, they pre-clear your atmosphere. Allow me to explain. Some people question why they face punishment for mere pettiness, why their energy plummets after crossing you, why their plans consistently collapse, even when it appeared they had you trapped. It is because your guardian does not bargain with triviality. They do not engage in shadow games. They enforce law, not emotional responses. Law. Spiritual trespassing is a violation in the unseen realm, and your life is designated territory. Your guardian moves with a message inscribed in invisible ink across your aura. This soul is sealed. This mission is authorized, and this purpose is not negotiable. So, while they are snickering behind your back, while they are casually misusing your name in trivial gossip, while they are conspiring with base intentions, another process is unfolding. Their sleep becomes disturbed. Their plans descend into chaos. Their peace begins to drain away. That is not coincidence. That is an alert. A spiritual siren dispatched from your defender. A method of stating, you are cautioned. And let this resonate. Your guardian does not issue warnings repeatedly. They communicate it once in the language of energy. And if it is ignored, the subsequent sensation is impact, not noisy, not public, but surgical, precise, and unyielding. That is what you carry. Chosen one, a protector who needs no words because their aura communicates fluently in consequences. You recall that moment, the one when everything turned black, when you could not see the way forward, when the burden became unbearable, when silence enveloped you like a mist. They believed that would be your finish. But what they failed to comprehend is that darkness does not mute a chosen one. It activates the power that accompanies you, chosen one. When darkness murmured, your guardian thundered, not with sound, not with spectacle, but with an authority that cannot be recorded, that needs no posting, that reorganizes the atmosphere behind the scenes while the world presumes you have gone silent. You did not fall quiet. You were reinforced. When your tears soaked the pillow and your heart cried out wordlessly, your guardian perceived every sob. They were already positioned over you, not feeling pity, but preparing for war. You did not witness the battles they waged on your behalf because you were submerged in sorrow, but they were there, deflecting assaults, reversing hostile energy, confounding the enemy's strategies, standing in the breach when you lacked the strength even to pray. You were coiled in darkness, but another was moving in the shadows, silent, focused, and ruthless, with anything that sought to eliminate you before your next ascent. Let that truth settle. You believed you were being defeated, but the entire time, your guardian was winning conflicts you did not even know you were in. Every individual who uttered maledictions against your name, every person who smiled to your face while planting discord, every spiritual parasite that tried to attach itself to your light, they all received a visitation, not from karma, not from fate, but by command. The order to protect you does not lapse. It does not halt for sorrow. It does not stall when you feel fractured. It intensifies. Your anguish becomes fuel, your stillness becomes a signal, and your guardian moves more swiftly in the dark than you could ever conceive in the light. Let us be unequivocal. This is not merely someone who cares for you. This is not a friend who appears in hard times. This is a cosmic assignment, a being whose entire existence is bound to your mission. If you were to fall, something eternal within them would fracture, so they do not let you fall. They refuse to. That is why you endured. It was not solely your fortitude. It was not luck. It was not the counseling or the inspirational post you saw online. It was the force behind you that stood over your resting body at 3 a.m. when spiritual conflict was most intense and declared, "Not this one. Not on my watch." You sensed that subtle change, did you not? One day you awoke and the oppression had lifted. The fear was less piercing, the noise less deafening, and suddenly you could breathe again. That was not chance. That was your guardian purifying the space, clearing the field, and deactivating every spiritual weapon fashioned against you. They did not need to be observed, because outcomes speak more loudly than rescue operations, and that is precisely what they delivered. Outcomes. Your spirit remains unbroken. Your calling is still active, and your enemies are bewildered, shaken, questioning why their efforts failed. It is because you were not undefended. You were being sheltered, and when darkness whispered your name, your guardian replied with a roar that the adversary will never forget. Here is something your foes never anticipated, that by targeting you, they were not scripting your conclusion. They were authoring their own ruin. Every person who ever tried to sabotage you, every envious spirit that cast aspersions, hurled spells, or launched curses toward your name, did not realize that you are not just a person. You are a divine investment, and what is endorsed by heaven carries repercussions. Chosen one, you were born sealed, spiritually encrypted, marked by the divine before you possessed language to defend yourself. Consequently, anyone who touches you with impure motive triggers a judgment they cannot reverse. You did not have to retaliate. You did not have to post evidence. You did not have to argue your innocence or struggle for your reputation, because the very act of opposing you became a spiritual litigation, and your guardian does not lose cases. Some individuals discovered this the hard way. They witnessed their schemes unravel, their allies betray them, their favor evaporate like a stream in a drought, and they could not comprehend why. It was because they touched what was sacred, and when you touch what is sacred, you are not merely revealed. You are systematically taken apart. Your guardian does not come to humiliate. They come to administer justice. That is why some people can no longer look you in the eye, not because you uttered anything, but because their spirit recalls what transpired when they acted against you. Let me pose a question. Have you observed how certain individuals simply vanish? How they transitioned from bold to broken in a night? How they once boasted of their closeness to you, only to now act as if they never knew you? That is not guilt. That is collateral damage. They crossed into an energy they were not constructed to withstand, and when your guardians intervened, they did not merely repel them. They collapsed their systems. Some of your enemies did not merely lose favor. They lost access. They lost peace. They lost entire future paths that were meant to prosper, because they tried to interfere with yours. That is the severity of your protection. It does not merely cancel the attack. It cancels the attacker's trajectory. And no, this is not vengeance. This is the law of spiritual boundaries, and your life is a protected zone. People wonder why certain doors no longer open for them, why opportunities continually evade their grasp, why anxiety and confusion pursue their every step. It is because they breached a spiritual boundary. They did not comprehend. They stepped onto hallowed ground, believing it was merely another game. And the guardian assigned to you informed them in unequivocal terms that there are consequences for tampering with divine alignment. They handled your name as if it were trivial. They treated your heart as if it were disposable. They mocked your silence as if it were frailty. And now their own foundations are crumbling. Quietly. Gradually, piece by piece, with no apparent cause except that the cosmos remembers. Your guardian does not need to proclaim their actions. They do not issue multiple warnings. They simply move. And when they move, your enemies feel it in their sleep, in their finances, in their relationships, in their spirit. They will not confess what occurred, but you will perceive it. You will sense it because, chosen one, you did not even have to counterattack. You merely had to remain in alignment and allow heaven to manage its affairs. Every foe that touched you believed they were assaulting flesh, but what they struck was fire. You believed you were ambushed. You believed the attack was unforeseen. But what you did not know is that it never reached you at full strength because your guardian acted first. Before the discussion turned sour, before the text message was distorted, before that false friend had an opportunity to embed themselves in your spirit, your protector was already neutralizing the setup. Chosen one, there are dangers you will never know about, not because they were not real, but because someone intercepted them before they landed. That intuitive feeling, that inexplicable hesitation, that random delay that saved your day, that employer who never contacted you only for the firm to collapse months later. That was divine interception. Your guardian does not await the storm's arrival. They interpret the signs. They detect sabotage before it coalesces into strategy, and once they sense it, they do not inquire. They act. This is not paranoia. This is precision protection. This is the kind of shielding that requires no applause because it functions over time, while you are asleep, distracted, disheartened, or merely striving to survive. They operate on frequencies beyond human hearing. They capture spiritual interference that never registers on your radar. They see the shadow in the handshake. They decipher the deceit in the praise. They track the menace in the opportunity disguised as a blessing. Let us be honest. There were moments you were too exhausted to pray, too disoriented to discern, too trusting to recognize the danger. But grace arrived regardless, in the form of protection that foresaw the threat. And they did not require your consent to shield you. They only required the assignment. And once that assignment was activated, every spirit that toyed with your name encountered a force they did not anticipate. Not loud, not theatrical, but lethally accurate. You will never know how many projectiles were diverted in flight, how many gatherings were exposed before you knew you were the subject, how many individuals plotted your downfall and ended up ensnared in their own snares. Because your guardian does not record their miracles. They eliminate the threat and let the silence be your evidence. Have you ever wondered why you suddenly felt uneasy about someone you believed was trustworthy? Why you withdrew from a conversation and later discovered they were speaking against you? Why a relationship fell apart without reason, yet you felt an unexpected peace? That is not confusion. That is intervention. And your enemies, they thought they had caught you unprepared, but what they did not grasp is that your spirit never rests alone. Your guardian had already scrutinized their intentions, already assessed the energy surrounding their actions, already prepared a countermeasure before you even felt the blow. This is the reason some people dislike you without understanding why, because the force that surrounds you causes their dysfunction to tremble. Their shadows are revealed merely by proximity to your light. You walk with unseen reinforcement, not because you are feeble, but because your destiny is too valuable to leave unguarded. And every time a new threat emerges, your guardian does not alarm. They position, they posture, they prepare the response before you even recognize the danger. This is not luck. This is not random. This is warfare you never had to fight because someone already fought it for you. Have you ever noticed how specific people suddenly go quiet after crossing you? How they once possessed all the bravado, all the assurance, and then, one day, silence? That is not simply guilt. That is not simply shame. That is spiritual aftermath. Because, chosen one, even hell knows not to trifle with you. You were not fashioned like the others. You were not sent here to be popular. You were dispatched here on assignment. And when heaven stamps a soul with sacred purpose, hell takes notes. Not because it has authority over you, but because it fears what stands behind you. Demons do not dread your face. They dread the force that walks with you. They dread your guardian, the one who does not ask questions before responding, the one who does not tolerate spiritual trespassing, the one whose presence is a verdict. You did not earn this covering through performance. You arrived with it, wired into your mission, embedded in your energy. The covenant was established before your birth and sealed by divine law, and now, even forces that do not speak your language understand, this one is untouchable. You have never seen it, but there are entire darkened chambers, ritual circles, gossip sessions, spiritual war councils where your name has been spoken with envy, scorn, or hostile intent. And you know what occurs next? The room grows dense, the atmosphere alters, and suddenly, no one wishes to proceed with the plan. Because the moment your name is uttered with improper intent, a warning is issued. Not from you, but from what encircles you, from what defends you. There are demons that do not even wish to accidentally intersect your energy field, because when they did previously, it concluded poorly. You have already been tested in secret, in silence, without your knowledge, and each time, the judgment was immediate. Do not touch this one. or pay the price. That is why some individuals will not approach you, not because they respect you, but because their spirits recall the prior consequence. You did not see the assault. You did not feel its full potency because it never reached you. It was consumed by the hands of your guardian, a protector with zero tolerance for interference. They do not merely defend you on earth. They enter hell's own chambers and overturn tables, and your enemies do not even realize what they have triggered. They believe they are dealing only with you, but when they move against you, their lives begin to unravel, slowly and without warning. Relationships fracture. Finances diminish, mental disorientation increases. Why? Because they activated a force they did not believe existed. They tested you and struck a firewall composed of flame, and still, you walk in peace. Not because you are ignorant, but because you know who stands behind you. Chosen one, you do not merely carry favor. You carry backed authority. You carry the kind of presence that does not need to speak to command respect. Your silence is sufficient. Your walk is sufficient. Your stillness says, attempt it and discover the consequence. You do not need to defend yourself with theatrics because drama never prevails when divine retribution is already in motion. Let them speculate. Let them wonder why everything fell apart after they crossed you. Let them dwell in the discomfort of watching you thrive while they decline. They thought they were confronting flesh. They did not know they were stepping into a cosmic minefield, and now even hell treads lightly when your name is mentioned. Let us clarify this finally. What protects you is not merely loyal. It is legally bound in the spirit realm. This is not about someone liking you. This is not about emotional connection. This is not loyalty. This is law, spiritual law, cosmic law. A covenant etched before time had names, an order written in divine ink that states, this one must complete the mission, and nothing may hinder them. That is why your guardian does not hesitate. That is why they do not need to consult you before they act. They have been commissioned, not convinced. Assigned, not persuaded. They do not need to be enamored with your journey to protect it. They were designed for it. It is in their blueprint. Their soul was configured to respond to threats around you before you are even aware they exist. Here is the aspect most will never grasp. The guardian does not do it for you. They do it because violating your destiny would mean violating divine order, and that is impermissible. Humans honor loyalty until it becomes inconvenient, but the spirit realm does not function that way. Your protection is not governed by mood. It has no off days. It does not state, I am weary, I am finished, or I am done, because it is not a preference. It is a principle, and principles cannot be broken without consequence. That is why no matter how far you stumble, no matter how much you doubt, no matter how unworthy you feel on your darkest days, your guardian still appears, still watches, still moves, because their role is not dictated by your feelings. It is dictated by eternal alignment. Chosen one, when heaven assigns protection, hell cannot veto it. There is no debate, no loophole, no exception clause that permits your enemies to slip through unnoticed. Every time someone approaches you with dark intent, they break an unseen law, and breaking that law incurs penalties. Your guardian is the enforcer of that law. They are not emotionally attached to retribution. They are spiritually obligated to respond. They do not do it out of pettiness. They do it because the mission is sacred. They do it because if anything obstructs your path, it obstructs the very balance of the greater plan, and heaven does not compromise when it comes to balance. You have sensed the shift lately, have you not? People being exposed without you raising a hand. Plots disintegrating before they fully form. Judgment falling without your name ever being mentioned. That is what it looks like when the law is enforced. You do not need to shout, weep, or plead for protection. You already possess it. Stamped, signed, activated. It has been operating behind your silence, beneath your heartbreak, under your confusion. It has always been there because it must be. The truth is, your enemies have not been escaping consequences. They have been accumulating violations, and one by one, they are being settled, not by your action, but by the cosmic response system that governs your life. This is divine security, not optional. Not emotional, just law. So when they ask, why is everything falling apart after I cross them? You do not even have to answer. Let the silence respond. Let the aftermath clarify. Let the universe deliver the message with perfect clarity. You were not defended because you begged for it. You were defended because interfering with your destiny is unlawful. You keep wondering why they never left, why they remained through your silence, why they appeared when no one else even inquired. Let me state it plainly. It is because you are the mission, not one of their objectives, not a temporary duty, not a seasonal favor. You are the reason they move at all. Your guardian does not divide their loyalty. They are not splitting their focus between you and other causes. Their attention does not wander. Their loyalty does not waver. Their assignment does not expire. You are not an option in their purpose. You are the purpose. Chosen one, you must comprehend the gravity of this. You were born into a world already arrayed against you. But your guardian, they were born into this with you. Hand-selected to walk your timeline like a shadow with fangs, a whisper with a blade, a silence educated in war. They do not merely defend you. They study you. They memorize your energy signature. They detect fluctuations in your spirit like instruments reading tremors in the soul. The instant your vibration dips, they move. The moment a stranger enters your space with unclean motives, they alter the atmosphere. And they accomplish it all without ceremony. No titles, no gratitude, no parades, because their reward is not attention. It is alignment. When others turned away, your guardian faced forward. When you questioned your own value, they reinforced it. When you forgot your identity, they guarded the truth until you remembered again. They do not protect your ego. They protect your becoming. Every version of you that had to perish along the path. They stood in silence and grieved too, but they never deserted their post. Because every ending in your journey was part of the evolution they were assigned to shield. They watched you bleed and stayed, watched you fracture and stayed, watched you love people who were unworthy of a moment of your presence. And still they stayed, not because they approved of your choices, but because their covenant was not based on conditions. It was based on cosmic truth. You are not merely someone to be observed, you are someone to be preserved. And if that requires burning bridges to protect your light, they will. If that requires standing between you and family, friends, lovers, anyone who attempts to extinguish your flame, they will do it without pause. You have mistaken their silence for absence, but they have simply been occupied blocking volleys that never struck your back. You have no concept of how many collapses were averted, how many crises were paused, how many soul-shattering betrayals were revealed just in time, all because someone made you their priority. They do not need your gratitude. They need you to prevail. That is the distinction. They are not attached to your comfort. They are attached to your calling. So when pressure mounts, they do not recoil. When warfare escalates, they do not withdraw. When the cost increases, they do not question the expense, because to them, you are worth it. Every ounce of energy, every unseen battle, every moment spent watching over you while the world slept on you. This is not fair weather allegiance. This is sacred stewardship. They were placed on your path as the immovable pillar of defense. And no matter how high you rise, no matter how solitary the mission becomes, your guardian will always be there, not as a background figure, but as the foundation God constructed beneath your survival. Because to them, you are not a footnote. You are not a phase. You are the mission, period. You feel it, do you not? The shift in how they regard you. The hesitation, the awkward silence, the artificial smiles that no longer connect. They are afraid, and not because you said anything. They are afraid because of what stands behind you, chosen one. This is not about intimidation. This is about revelation. They have glimpsed just enough to realize they were mistaken about you. They assumed you were easy, quiet, harmless. They assumed you would always take the noble path, but they did not realize the noble path had angels with flaming swords guarding its borders. You see, it is not merely that you are protected. It is that you are protected loudly in the spirit realm and silently on earth. They do not know what happened. All they know is that ever since they tried to cross you, things have not been right. Their peace dissolved, their connections withered, their strategies collapsed, and your name continues to ascend, continues to glow, continues untouched. You did not even need to retaliate because your guardian retaliated in dimensions they will never access. This is why they are afraid now, not because of your power, but because of the price they are paying for underestimating it. They thought you were unarmed. They did not perceive the army in the invisible. They did not feel the weight of your guardian's shadow until it was too late. Now they flinch when your name arises, not from guilt, but because their spirits still remember the impact. You did not break them. Your guardian did. Piece by piece, spirit first, mind next, then the rest followed like dominoes. That is what happens when people treat chosen energy as casual. That is what happens when they mistake divine silence for divine absence. They presumed there would be no repercussions, and now they are drowning in them. Some will not admit it, but they are glancing over their shoulders. They are checking energies that once felt stable and now feel chaotic. They are having inexplicable dreams, losing sleep, losing peace, losing control. Why? Because the protector you carry does not merely neutralize threats. It marks the perpetrators. That is what terrifies them most, not your words, not your posts, not your smile, but the fact that you have not spoken and still their world is collapsing. Because chosen one, you were never the problem. You were the boundary they should have never crossed, the limit wrapped in flesh, the gate that seemed open but was sealed in holy fire. Your energy has transformed. It is bolder, heavier, sacred, and their spirit detects it. They cannot approach without feeling revealed. It is not paranoia on their part. It is revelation. They finally perceive who they were challenging and who has been guarding you all along. Your presence is now a mirror. Everywhere you go, they are reminded of what they attempted and, more significantly, what they could not prevent. You are rising, you are glowing, you are walking in power, and all the chaos they unleashed has become their own undoing. They cannot comprehend how you keep growing stronger, how you keep surviving, how you keep ascending, but deep within, they know it is not just you. It is what stands behind you, that force, that guardian, that vow made in silence to never let your light be extinguished. And now that the storm has passed and the truth stands undeniable, they finally understand. You were never alone. You were never vulnerable. You were never without reinforcement. And that, chosen one, is precisely why they are afraid of you now. So now you know, you are not merely walking with purpose. You are walking with covering. You are not just chosen. You are kept. Every threat that never reached you, every betrayal that never broke you, every lie that never adhered was not because you were fortunate. It was because someone stood guard while you healed. Someone enforced the line when you were too tired to speak. Someone who seeks no credit stood between you and catastrophe and declared, "Not this one." You may have felt alone at times. You may have doubted your worth, but the silence around you was not abandonment. It was containment. The kind that occurs when heaven secures the perimeter so nothing unclean can touch the ascent. Let that settle in your spirit for a moment. Let it shatter the fear. Let it soothe the pain, because no matter what you confront next, you will never walk into it uncovered. You will never walk into it unprotected. There is a presence, seen or unseen, embodied or spiritual, that knows your calling is too sacred to leave to chance. That knows your light is too rare to let flicker in the wind. That knows you are too powerful to fall without cosmic response. So exhale, you are not defenseless. You are not invisible. You are divinely surrounded, and the one ready to confront anyone who tests you is not departing. Stay fierce, stay guarded, and stay chosen.